Good evening and welcome to the Planet Football Show. A very happy Halloween to you all. And if you are tuning in live, you're very welcome. If you are going to catch up, I hope you will enjoy the content tonight. As you can see from my face, I'm well spent from a very busy Halloween spent in Derry. Derry Halloween, congratulations again on a spectacular show. And a fine day it was to put on their festivities. So enjoy that, everyone who's attending. The fireworks will be well spent at this stage, this time of the night. So, not going to forget to introduce once again, man to my left, your right, Daniel Carr, my own flesh and blood, man completely riding high on the crest of positivity after an incredible period for Manchester United. He'll remind me who he's played and defeated, and he'll also remind me that we had that very premature talk about Amorim out and points expected from the oncoming 4 fixtures. It's quite poignant, Daniel, that you're sat across from me and we get to resume this conversation on the back of all those results coming home.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the last time that we spoke, well, in this format anyway, things were very, very different. I mean, definitely remember, like, we were talking about, obviously, Amorim and what his future was going to be, was he going to get sacked? And I remember even looking then at the fixtures that were coming up, and we were looking at, like, okay, we had, I can't remember who it was we had before the international breaks, and then we're going, okay, we have Liverpool after that. And I was like, okay, how many points are we going to pick up over the course of these games? And I really wasn't confident of picking up many points. But now we've come out of those games and we're in a very, very different position to what I expect this to be in. Which, like, even I'm sure yourself, you probably weren't even thinking that.
To be fair, we were discussing on the eve of Man United Brentford, and we had set aside the task for yourselves. 7 would be an incredible return.
Yes.
6 would be the bare minimum, and then something like 9 would be just ridiculous. So 9 it is, or 9 it was, because United beat Sunderland comfortably at home without much of a stretch. They went away to the champions and won. Incredible game plan by the manager, showing his stuff. And then an incredibly dramatic game at Old Trafford against Brighton. Never a game that disappoints. Goals, 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 always. And Danny Welbeck guaranteed. The absolute postman. So 9 points was, Daniel. So
yeah,
I'll tell you something. Way, way, way exceeding expectations that we had sort of laid out. I would have thought I would have put money on 6, but there you are, 9.
Actually, for me, I was probably on the lower amount because I was basically thinking, okay, Sunderland, the team that's come up, we should be able to beat them. Go to the champions, wasn't expecting anything. A draw would have been hopeful. And then because of how Brighton have been against us in the last few years and the way we were playing, wouldn't have been confident in that game either. So really, I would have been talking 3, maybe 4 at the most, is what I would have been thinking at that stage. But like that's how much things have changed. It's really, really strange to be here a couple of weeks later, and it's a very, very different story.
Yeah. And looking ahead, managerless Nottingham Forest tomorrow, the form should continue, really.
You would expect it, given the form of Forest at the minute. Now, I've watched quite a few of their games this season already, and it's a strange one because in a lot of the games they have played well and have just been unlucky to not been able to get that goal. Like it's happened in more than one occasion. I think obviously we've probably talked off air before about how, Ange probably didn't get the fair crack of the whip on it, and it's kind of, it was unfair on them to expect them to keep on going from where they finished off last season. They probably slightly overachieved last season, and probably they're paying the price for it this year. And it really seems to have taken a toll on the team. But yeah, that's a game we should be looking at. Then it's just for the sake of the guy from United Strand, whether we can do something at Spurs the following week. That's going to be the key one. Can we get the 5 in a row so he can get his haircut?
Oh, I'll tell you something. That boy starting to appear in Paddy Power adverts now. He's getting some notoriety. Obviously, we're on the verge of 4. So it would be very tantalising. Now, just to temper expectations, Forrest did the double over his last year. So
exactly.
Wow, it's a change in fortunes now where we're expecting United to roll over them. I would just think the ginger master, the Daesh missile, the Daesh submarine firing one into the United bow. I would say
I think it's probably something he'd actually be interested in as well, because on Gary Neville's show there the last day or recently there, he was talking about
the Gary Neville podcast.
No, not the podcast. The
Stick to Football.
That's the one. Yeah, on that one where he was talking about how he could manage if he was at United, like how United would have been one of those jobs he'd love to have. How he feels that the current team would play so much better if he was manager.
Gary Neville?
No. Daesh himself.
Thank God that sounded weird in my head. Daesh was one of the names that came out of Charlie Austin's mouth, and I would say it was roundly ridiculed. And I thought there was a wee bit of sense to that, because I thought one thing that United severely lacked was like a pure pragmatic approach. Like they're being asked to do complicated things by several more free-thinking, free-flowing managers, and I think he just needed somebody to rein it back in and do things the basic way. And Sean Dyche would have been the man for me. Hugely underrated. Did wonders at Everton. Don't know why they got rid of him. Does absolute wonders at Burnley. Kept them in the top flight way beyond what they should. And he got Forrest firing right away. That stellar European night in his first game, and he gets them going, but obviously straight into a defeat again. So obviously their form not colossal coming into the fixture, and I would have United slight favourites. I'm just going to consult the app here now, and more or less 2-1, just over 2-1 about Forest, and just slightly worse than even money on United. So that's how the bookies see it. United flying, 3 in the spin. No European football to speak of. Forest will have 1A.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be benefiting them.
Forest will have 1A on Thursday night. Sturm Graz. So be interesting. Be interesting indeed. I'm going to say draw on that one. I just think don't take your eyes off that one. You're already looking ahead to Spurs to try and get a man a haircut. I would just say rein in them mad expectations. But the boys up front, Daniel, we bit of review of the boys, how they're starting to click up front for you?
Yeah, I mean, like Brennan and Wemo, I think has kicked on from the start of the season. Cunha, obviously, when he got his injury, has kind of hindered him a bit, but definitely his presence on the pitch is definitely noticeable.
Mm.
I mean, I think it was pointed out by a few people. His performance at Anfield, especially going into the closing moments of that game, when most players would be completely under pressure, not wanting that ball, he was happy to take that ball and try to hold on to it and just play out time. I mean, to be able to handle pressure like that, and I think people pointed out that that's what's happened to some players that have come to United, where they haven't been able to handle that pressure. They don't want that pressure. Whereas both the lads I mentioned seem to be happy to have that pressure and are sort of thriving under it.
Mm.
And they're actually playing very well together. Sesko, on the other hand, I think is obviously going to take a lot longer to get used to it. And I can't remember who it was. I was listening to the last day. Where basically they were talking about he needs to be, no, it was Dimitar Berbatov, where he was basically talking about where he needs to kind of have a bit more attitude about him, where he needs to start, shouting to lads, telling them to pass the ball, because it's been the problem every single forward has had at United over the last couple of years, not getting the service. He's not going to get that service if he doesn't ask for it. He needs to build that chemistry with his teammates to understand when he wants that ball played to him, where he needs, them to be playing it. If he doesn't start demanding these things, it's not going to happen. You're seeing little bits of it. He's quite good at the hold-up play and stuff like that, but he still needs to work a bit more on it. But I think over time, they will form a nice little partnership up front.
Yeah, an interesting source to draw from there. Probably the last out-and-out number 9 to fully succeed at Manchester United.
Yeah, I would probably say that.
Successfully made onto the back of one of your jerseys anyway, Daniel.
In some shape or form.
Maybe bit of ADHD or dyslexia maybe involved, but he certainly had an impact. He certainly had an impact on you, but very interesting take. I have no worries about Benjamin Sesko, and it's what you want to do with him, because Brian Mbemo still being Brian Mbemo and way exceeding XG, and Matheus Cunha finally getting off the mark. He'll start chipping in. It's the rest of the guys that I've been sort of under impressed by. I'm not really at all impressed with Fernandes this season. Not really seen Ahmad fire off the way he should this season, and then everyone else is there really in a defensive guys, to be honest. You got to be very careful with Casemiro, who's having a fine bit of form, but you certainly don't want to overuse him, because his legs are cooked, and it's just really you have to have him simmering to throw him in, and he's excellent when he's looked after. And I just think if you start flogging him big time, you'll start to see that legs cooked Casemiro again. So I would say it's the glaring need for United. It's the centre of the park again, because you shouldn't have got away with Fernandes and Casemiro at Anfield. That is dead apparent. Just to chat about the fixture in itself, Liverpool clearly not at their best that day, but still create a bucket load of clear-cut chances, and really at least could be coming away with a 2-2 draw. Scandalous leaving Harry Maguire wandering around the back post. An educated heave back into the box by Bruno Fernandes to an area where there was no actual large Liverpool player to contest it. So Maguire is a nice, easy nod into the goal. I can certainly bemoan Gakpo's finishing on the day, and I can certainly bemoan a glaring, how can you miss it, handball in the box by Ahmad. Really, really scratching the head on what the hell constitutes handball in this day and age. But I'll still suggest United never open themselves up to fall into the traps. And certainly Liverpool's a team that thrives on teams falling for it. And in recent times, teams have stopped falling for the bait. So we will not heavily contain possession within our back six. We'll just get high up the pitch as soon as we can. And it's a method that's been put to excellent use by several teams. Eintracht certainly didn't do that. Eintracht certainly tried to play tit for tat with the Reds and certainly paid the price. We're moving sort of slightly into reasons why things are going slightly askew at the minute for Liverpool. I don't really want to just take a dip in there just yet, but it sort of ties in with United's form. United's form have come through the Anfield test, and then obviously the guys have started to hit the target now. Mbemo in a big way, and Cunha getting off the mark. And I would just say the three now up top now is pretty settled. That's the way forward. It's about keeping them fit and get them as many games together as they can. There is only 38, unless you get a tidy Emirates FA Cup run.
Really, all we're kind of peddling everything on. If you want to get a trophy this season, that's really it. You're aiming for probably that and trying to get as close to top four as we can.
Well, they're shooing for top four at the moment.
At the moment, yeah. I mean, it's mad. Like, even I think it was, who was I watching? Ali McCoist and Jeff Stelling on TalkSport the last day, where they were talking about the United's turn in form and like how I think Jeff Stelling had tipped United for top four at the start of the season, and Ali had basically laughed it off. Whereas now it's mad to even think that they're foreseeably going to be in the top six. Like, yeah, look, top four could be possible, but they're relying on a lot of other teams. Just
you're relying on AFC Bournemouth and Sunderland to fall out of it. That will happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're going to be teams that is not going to be cut out for the long race ahead that's required to stay in the top four. They're not going to be used to that.
I would say to you, Dan, we'll get this last international break out of the way, and then we get a good consistent run till Christmas, and we'll see how things lie then. I just think this stop-start nature of the league with the three international breaks has it always been three?
No, I definitely don't remember them being like that. I always remember there used to be the international breaks around September.
Oh, one straight away, yeah, and then yeah.
I don't remember any of this happen until maybe like March or April the next year. I really don't remember these.
I always thought there was a grand big spell of uninterrupted league and Champions League and League Cup right through the ends of the early spring. I think it's like it coincides with Six Nations rugby, the next international break. But that aside, they're obviously trying to shove in a lot of qualifying stuff as the Club World Cup pushing into the summer pushed a lot of things back. So I would say that's had an impact. So when people try to weigh up form and who's good this season, I would just say I'm certainly not looking and fretting about what's going on ahead of me when I see who's up there, because once you get actually into a rhythm, there will be teams that will cut it and there'll be teams that won't. And I just think good moments early on in the season are very, very frequent. And there's always there's always a promoted team that will excel. And it looks like Sunderland this year, surprisingly. It's funny, the playoff team always seems to have that extra competition, that extra level of high stakes football coming right at the end of our season. Fireworks going off behind me.
Fireworks going off here as well.
Downings. Yeah. Downings absolutely eliminated. Terrific. So when you get that extra, boost of adrenaline, boost of jeopardy, boost of overwhelming joy and winning something, the playoff team seem to have a disadvantage where they don't have as long a break.
Yeah.
By Jesus, they have some injection of financial support when they do this.
I think the other thing that's going well for Sunderland as well, given how long they have been out of the Premier League, is a big factor. Getting back into the Premier League.
Two realities can coexist. So a team that bounced back immediately, that's the most beneficial thing. But a big club like Sunderland that goes all the way down and goes down a level again, they might have better preparedness to. It's interrupting your interaction here, isn't it? We'll let Daniel get organized there with his gaming headset. Yeah, you're live and clear as day, Daniel. But that's the risks we take when we decide to go on Halloween night. The Roman candles. Oh, slightly muted at the minute, Dan. Let's see if we can correct that. Testing. If you can hear me, we're good. I can tell you what my point all the same. Maybe I might have to ditch the headphones then.
Go ahead there.
When a team's able to bounce back, obviously more ideal, but a big team like Sunderland will put down the foundations to when they get up, stay up. So that's what we're seeing now, but I don't expect them to be sitting in the top four, second even for a period last weekend. Don't see that continuing. I've been wrong before, but I certainly don't see themselves and Bournemouth still being up there when we're deep into the festive calendar. And speaking of the festive calendar, congratulations on being the only game on Boxing Day. I might turn in early. I might turn in early that night. Actually, I might actually skip Manchester United versus Newcastle United.
I don't know how. I'm pretty sure United were trying their best to make sure that they didn't have a game on Boxing Day.
Really?
But I think it's just one of. I think again it's one of those situations because they're not in Europe. They have to play it because I think for the other teams because of the way they play. But to be fair, around Christmas is not going to be that. But I think it's the way the schedule of the games are because it's the same reason why I think After the game we just had, I think we don't play a home game for a couple of weeks or something like that. It's the way it is. It's or like our next home game is like on a Monday because we don't have them at the weekend. So it just must be the way that the run of fixtures is going from that. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, at least there's something to watch on
I just think maybe whoever is in charge, and I'd assume it's Amazon, and they flexed to have the biggest game of the Boxing Day slate on. So certainly Newcastle at Manchester United is the big showpiece one. So Nick Volta made a big decisive goal at Old Trafford.
It's an interesting one. I've seen some talk. About him. Like he's starting to settle in at Newcastle.
I think he has settled in.
Yeah.
I think there's no starting about it. I think they've won the transfer. They've won the transfer under one move alone. Selling Alexander Isaac for £126 million and signing Nick Waltemeda for £80 million.
Yeah.
They're
even the business, yeah.
They're actually living the better of the situation at the minute. Sort of seen that one being pointed out. I would just say to you, I wouldn't leave that milk out. Alexander Isak still, in my opinion, working himself up to 100%, and slightly pushed a wee bit too hard, and the groin goes. So more to come from Alexander Isak. Not to worry. Pretty sure he's not going to go tomorrow night against Aston Villa. Similarly, Curtis Jones pretty much ruled out for Aston Villa, but positively, Ryan Gravenberch was back training most of the week, so good to go there for one of the best players so far this season.
No, I don't know if you want to even get talking about Liverpool yet, but
I do.
Okay,
I do.
So, given the recent form, what changes would you want to make to the Liverpool team for tomorrow night's fixture?
I can't really make any changes, Daniel, because I'm dealing with an injury to Alisson, and I'm dealing with an injury to Alexander Isak, and I'm dealing with an injury to Curtis Jones, and I'm dealing with an injury to Jeremy Frimpong, and I am not 100% certain Gravenberch is a starter tomorrow night. So at the moment, it is still go with what you got. And at the moment,
yes,
I would still see Mamardashvili starting in goal, Conor Bradley starting at right back, Konate and Van Dijk, and I would suggest it's Andy Robertson tomorrow night, given Kirkes did 90 minutes against Crystal Palace. I would say the midfield, short of Gravenberch coming back, it's got that very unbalanced Szoboszlai, Maka, and Wirtz lineup. Gakpo left, Ekitike down the middle, and Salah on the right. So where we have been falling down recently, and I would say circumstantial, and we have Palace away, 3-1 defeat, and time was up. Kirkes clears the ball, goes out for a throw-in. Referee, where's the whistle? Referee, where's the whistle? It's 1-1. Let's get out of here. Where's the whistle? Easily 30 seconds has elapsed. There's a long throw in. There's a push on Jones in the front post, not seen. Falls to Eddie Nketiah, who hammers it home, and time is up. So, something a bit odd about continuing play that day. Then, of course, we have Chelsea, and there is obviously the late, very, very late last kick of the ball, Esteval winner there. So Stamford Bridge, Sellers Park, not really nice places to go. Certainly back to back. You want to get right game against Manchester United, and I wouldn't have picked any better opposition. Certainly a chance to lay a marker down and correct things. And it's just, why are we the club that the supposed best referee of the bunch, Michael Oliver, decides to play on when there's a clear head injury? It's an automatic stoppage of play when there's a head injury. I don't know why the rules are dropped when it's a Liverpool player. And Mbeumo's quite switched on, sees that there's a player down, continues his move. It's played in, and we're 1-0 down just inside 2 minutes. Not what you need. Certainly don't need to give United encouragement when they're not planning to play in any kind of positive way. Bruno certainly should have killed the game. If it goes 2-0, that's Liverpool toast with the form they're in. They don't. Chiesa and Gakpo link up for an excellent equaliser. Gakpo hits the woodwork a couple of times. Salah has a glaring 6-yard pass to set up Verts. Doesn't do it. Takes a weak effort with his right foot, puts it wide, near post. The heave from Bruno finds Maguire, 2-1 down. Gakpo misses a sitter. It's a defeat. Nothing else can be said about it. Not much can be drawn positive about it. It's 3 defeats on the spin in the league. We get back up and running against Eintracht. It's a temporary reprieve. Back to more of the same. Brentford, hugely oppressive. Spend 9 minutes, 18 seconds on throw-ins. The added time in the first half, there was another throw-in that accumulated over a minute. So, Kerkez scoring 6-7 minutes into first half stoppage time. Don't want to hear any crying about that. He's brought the towel out for the ball countless times. They hem us in. It's maximum pressure. They don't let us get out. Excellent game plan by Keith Andrews. Absolutely ludicrous defending to let them go 2-1 up. It's a break. Konate's not good enough. He is faster than that. I don't know what kind of knock he's carrying at the minute, but that's the Brentford player get away from him. And Mamarashvili, not fantastic. I'm pretty sure Alisson makes that more difficult with a one-on-one chance. Closes down the attacker, closes that distance, potentially makes a leg save because it's not a great finish. The penalty decision is ludicrous. It's not a penalty. It's not even a foul. Van Dijk makes minimal contact on the bottom of the foot, and the player takes a step, plants his foot, falls over, buys it. The free kick the ball is placed 3 yards outside the box. And VAR, Brooks, decides the foul takes place on the line. awards a penalty. And no use of a screen. Is the screen being retired? There's no chance to give the stand-in referee. Hooper had to pull out at half-time with a dodgy hamstring. So Robinson had to come in and is immediately hit with that huge decision. Puts Brentford 3-1 up. And certainly not what we need when we're not getting it going because of this oppressive approach plan by Keith Andrews. And a spectacular goal by Salah shows he's not far from getting back on it, in my humble opinion. So there's little to worry about there. This is still a man that is deeply grieving about the loss of one of his best friends during the summer in tragic circumstances. And it's apparent in every performance. It's apparent in every end of game. It's not the same guy. It's not the same happy, smiley Mo Salah that we've known the whole time. He's having a terrible time emotionally. And I think it's taken real big character to get on the pitch and do well this season. And it's going to take tremendous character to get out of this run of form that they find themselves in. And I believe it's in there. I believe the spine of Alisson, Van Dijk, Szoboszlai and Mo is one of the best around, and it's good enough to drag this Liverpool team out of the pit to find themselves in at the minute. And not going to get drawn into anything with the manager. The manager is well capable of sorting this out. And for me, the manager's game plan needs to be slightly adjusted to be a bit more negative when the team is being negative towards you. If they want a low block, that's low block. That's low block right back at them. When we lose possession, tighten them lines again, get back into a shape, be stubborn, be difficult, don't excessively press, don't get into situations where it's 2-on-1. Drop the line, because the line, I don't think you want to be leaving Mamardashvili the way you leave Alisson, because Alisson's a good backup plan. You can defend the way Van Dijk does when you know you have a world-class number one behind you. And I just think you do best by a player by not treating them any lesser than, the guy ahead of him. I think you get away best when you treat the guy that comes in as an equal. And I think we've tried to keep all the best things that we do available to Mamardashvili. So, always give it to him on a strong side. Don't give it to him under pressure. Don't give it to him when it's not necessary. Have him nice and high to be included in the possession game, but drop back and protect him where you would have to throw a block now, where sometimes you would just think, right, I am going to show you low percentage chance because I back my keeper. When I point to all those things, Daniel, do you at least see my rationale to not panic?
Look, I get where you're coming from. The problem I would have is, okay, just if we think back to when we spoke how many weeks ago. I remember when I was talking about Liverpool at that stage, we were talking about a Liverpool team that were winning games with last-minute winners and things like that. And I was saying that you look at that in two ways. You can look at that as getting lucky towards the end of the game, or it's the mark of champions being able to dig out a result even though you haven't played well. And at that point, I was saying, look, definitely Liverpool have been playing like champions, been digging out the results. Now we're in the situation where you're on the back of 4 losses in a row. Could you be, forgiven for thinking, is it now a case of where those wins might have been just, lucky last minute wins?
Okay. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
if you were to look at it like that, then it would be in a much worse situation.
So what you're saying is the actual, maybe the level of form. So was here at the start of the season, and that would have been just clearing the bar.
Yeah.
So now it's just slightly dipped, and then it's not meeting the bar anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Well, like I say, it depends. It depends on what way you're looking at it. Because obviously,
I can certainly see your glass half empty look on it there, where you were just doing enough, and certainly riding on your luck. Okay, bare results always prove so. It'll certainly stand out to me that the form since basically the league's in the bag, is played something like 28, won 17, and lost 10, I think. It may have lost 10, maybe more, in that 28 since mid-March. That I think fair to say you can certainly step off the gas. I think there were 13 points clear. The weekend they won the title. So it slightly dropped off, and I think they still won the league by 10 points. And obviously they picked the form right up again at the start of this season. We're running away with it. People were giving up. What's the point? What's the point of doing a show? What's the point of United involvement in the show? It's a Liverpool glory run. So it's a wee bit more, that's football. That's how close you are to disaster all the time. That's how close you are to jeopardy all the time. So it's really funny. It's funny when the real glare of scrutiny comes on you. And yeah, we want to see a reaction, and we want to see a flip, and there was always better to come from them anyway. Yeah, getting the business done and doing it just enough. Dear God, that screams of 90s Manchester United to me. Why do you ever need to go beyond to survive a 38-game season?
Yeah,
you would love to be able to switch off in a few games, and certainly Liverpool weren't able to switch off in any of the games so far. So the get 2 up aspect is where Liverpool needs to get back to be able to last the 38 games this time around. And by Jesus, you need to start turning defeats into draws, and you need to start developing clean sheets again, and you need to start racking up a few 1-0 to the pool again to really re-establish where's that bar again, and can you exceed it again?
So see, that's actually kind of why I was asking you earlier what you would want to see from the team that plays Aston Villa tomorrow, because I think Jimmy Carragher was talking about like the suggestions of just Liverpool going back to just simple basics, just to steady the ship. Even if you're just to grind out 1-0 wins for a couple of games, just to get things back up and running. Like I think he was talking about put Szoboszlai back at right back. Sheer up the defense, because yeah.
Can I interject just there? Yeah, with the injury to Frimpong now for 6 weeks, you probably need to actually pick a right back and stop this flipping mid-game. So if your point, if you're going to have Dominic Szoboszlai at right back, do not at any point alter that and switch him into midfield, because you're not actually adding anything. Used legs, Szoboszlai from right back will be worse than used legs in midfield going to right back. It's an unfortunate reality. If he's making bombing runs up and down the flank where he's not getting any help from Mo Salah, it'll actually take more out of him and he won't actually add anything. If you insert him into midfield when you bring on Conor Bradley, or now, quite by chance, even in 3-0 defeat during the week, Calvin Ramsey is now a legitimate factor for contention. Now, stubborn Arnie Slot, probably Calvin Ramsey doesn't get seen again. But talking about ways to, change something, the fullbacks have not been anywhere near what a Liverpool fullback has looked like under the previous regime. And Milos Kerkez hasn't been allowed to be the Milos Kerkez that was at Bournemouth, and had license to roam, and had license to play long balls, and had license to cross. It's been a pure recycling exercise, and do not overextend yourself. That's been the instructions from my point of view to Milos Kerkez. And similarly, Conor Bradley hasn't been doing a lot of ball carrying and overlapping runs either. I would say get, hopefully, fingers crossed, Ryan Gravenberch back as a sitting number 6. Trust the 2 centre halves and let the fullbacks bomb on. Right? So none of this careful, controlled, languid possession that's not actually doing anything. I think if you zip the ball into Florian Wirtz, who's then got a buzzing Hugo Ekitike, there's something there, and there'll be something that comes of that. So get the fullbacks involved and get them high up the pitch. That gets Salah moved infield and within range of goal, and gets Gakpo involved in aerial duels in the box, and it gets something for Hugo Ekitike to throw himself at, and it opens up reams of space. If you start doing that to a team, all of a sudden Florian Wirtz's corridors to exploit. So it's quite back to basics for this Liverpool team. Certainly no can do it.
Yeah, I see how you're looking at getting them back to an attacking way of scoring goals. My concern, as an onlooker from the outside, there does not seem to be that confidence in your backline. Van Dijk is not the same player this season as he has been. Something's just not right there. I think you mentioned it there with Salah earlier, how he's going through the emotions of having lost Jota over the summer. I mean, you got to think the other long-serving Liverpool players that have been there for quite a while, how it's affected them. Van Dijk, how's it affected him? You have your new goalkeeper coming in who's having to try and fill in for Alisson, which is not an easy task for anyone to try and do, given the form that Alisson's been in for the last couple of years. There's a couple of question marks there for me. I mean, if your back line is not going to have the confidence about them, no matter how much chances and goals you're going to score up front, you're still going to have that issue at the back. That's where I was kind of talking about. Should there be a talk of trying to shore up that defense by putting a bit of solidarity into it with the likes of Szoboszlai, because I just don't see that solidity there. I think you talked about trying to get clean sheets. That is a big factor. Rather than talking about what needs to happen up front with Salah and Ekitike and Gakpo, the defence is what needs to get sorted first.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to call upon another centre half, but at the moment we have what we have, and backup comes in the form of Andy Robertson and Wataru Endo. So we're certainly not dripping in riches, and we'll still bemoan not getting the paperwork or that damn blasted Glasner for meddling in the matters. Good old fashioned tapping up going on the pitch the other night as well by Joe Gomez. One great final deed for himself in a Liverpool jersey. So yeah, to level it up at the back and defensively, I'll probably go with Andy Robertson from the start tomorrow night. And if you have to pick who's been our best player recently, Szoboszlai, to go at right back, so be it. But let that be the case for the entire game. If you're going to make a sub, in midfield to remove Maka, who's not been at it at all this year. Gosh, that's a difficult substitution to have to make, and it's sort of hands are already tied. Hands are already tied, Daniel, when the only change that I have available to me is Chiesa, and that means you have to do 2 in 1. So that means you have to do Bradley, and you have to push Szoboszlai out of position again. So it's the exact case in point where I don't want to do it. Yeah. I don't want to do it, and I've said numerous times, even though it was working sort of haphazardly, and certainly not for the long run, it was working, and people were sort of favouring it. I was never on board with it. I would rather you try and get the best out of Conor Bradley, and I would rather there was always that pressure from Pong on his back to continue to get the best out of him, because he definitely thrived with competing with Trent to get into the team. And before his injury last season, he was, without a shadow of a doubt, the standard right back. So getting back to that level is well. So hopefully that is indeed Conor Bradley tomorrow night, and hopefully we see a midfield of Gravenberch setting, Szoboszlai number 8, and Florian Wirtz and Maraudin number 10, with heaps of space to work with because the fullbacks are getting involved. Score prediction, Dan. Liverpool Villa.
Oh. First of all, I have to look at it and go, right. Villa are just, who did they beat the last day?
They're on a tremendous run of form, Dan. So, just to get back,
who did they beat?
They beat Manchester City.
That's who it was. Yeah.
They also lost to Go Ahead Eagles before that.
Right. Like,
so easy get drawn in. Oh, they beat Man City, and they beat Tottenham, and they beat Burnley, and they beat Feyenoord, and the Kuip, and they beat Fulham. It's not easy to beat, and they beat Bologna. I'll tell you something. Villa's in a right run of form. Liverpool's not. Do you get suckered in?
it is hard to kind of avoid that sometimes. Look, Liverpool's going to be under a lot more pressure tomorrow than they've probably been in quite a while to win a game.
I'll tell you something. The bookies fancy Liverpool tomorrow. 1-2.
Okay.
1-2.
It's at Anfield.
Villa just shy of 4-1.
All right.
The bookies fancy Liverpool.
I'll go draw.
You'll go with draw. Well, to stop the bleeding, Dan, I couldn't argue with you. I certainly couldn't argue with it. If Liverpool come out with a draw, it certainly means somebody's getting away from us again at the top of the league. But I would certainly like to claim above Manchester United again tomorrow night, when they fail to beat Nottingham Forest. So, briefly chat about NFL teams, Dan. Why have you in front of me?
Look, I've been following the games over the last couple of weeks. The Bears were on a nice run of form, which came.
Have you finished up at a nice time on a Sunday, Dan? Do you always make it home for the 6 o'clock window?
Yeah, because we're obviously on a Sunday. I'm finished at 6 o'clock, so I generally will make it home. Now, sometimes the games will start before 6 o'clock, so usually when I get,
Well, the time change is always favourable. On the side of the water, we get games starting at 5.
Yeah, so I know that happened to me last Sunday. So you probably missed the first.
By the time you saw you were down to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
Taylor Huntley carved you up.
Look, I mean, I'll always judge my game, even if I'm just going to look at the results. I'm going seeing if I'm seeing. Christ, I can't remember his name now. Cardoff or kicker.
Yes, Santos.
Yeah. If I see his name too many times, it tells me what our game is me.
Well, if you see his name a lot, you're kicking a lot of extra points as well.
Yeah, I know that, but I mean, if that's all you're seeing, if it's not another name before him, if it's just
listen,
Santos, yeah.
The north is wide open. And it's wide open for you. Packers look excellent. Vikings are not on it, and the Lions are excellent. So Bears need to be muscling up there in between them. So Ben Johnson's got them playing proper ball, and
it's probably the best chance they've had of getting up there anyway.
Yeah, Caleb Williams is now starting to play like a number 1 pick, and Roma Dunze is elite, and DJ Moore is elite. Cole Kmet's an excellent tight end. Swift, brilliant running back. Bears are excellent, and they'll be, tune in. But obviously,
when you think about it, though, the team they currently have has been years in the making. You just think of how every year when they were trading their picks, they've played it properly, so they got the players they needed, and it's been a slow build, and they finally got to this. I mean, last year when Fields left us, I thought, oh Christ, we're going to go. Here we go again. Like, I mean, I think you showed me there the last day the list of quarterbacks and how many quarterbacks the Bears have went through since 1992 or 93 was incredible, which tells you a lot about your team. If your team is cycling through that many quarterbacks compared to three Packers,
three Packers quarterbacks since 1992.
Compared to what? It must have been 10 or 12. Must have been.
Everyone else double figures. So the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Patriots will be a 12-win team. Patriots will be busy at the trade deadline on Tuesday. They're ringing up Miami today. I would harbour a little want for a Jalen Waddle. I'd like a wee bit of that in the end zone. Would be nice.
That would be a big signing.
But it's realistically safety Minka Fitzpatrick that they're ringing about. I'm told it's an impossibility to get Myles Garrett out of the Browns, but I'm still holding on to that hope. $55 million has to be spent. Can't hang on to it. Can't bank it. They're going to make a big splash and push for another Super Bowl. Bills Chiefs this weekend, Dan. 9:25.
Ooh. Wait, was that the Super Bowl recently?
Impossible. They're both AFC. It was the AFC Championship game in 2021, I think. I'm trying to think the Davis four touchdowns game. I think it's 2021. Yeah, they go on to win the Super Bowl that year. Yeah, they lose to the Bucks. They lose to the Bucks in 20, and then they go on to win it then in 2021 after beating the Bills in the title game.
That's probably it then. Just that kind of stuck in my head there.
Yeah, I just think I think Josh Allen gets the better of him this time around.
It should be an interesting game, though. I don't think it's as clear cut as you're thinking.
Well, no, it certainly won't be clear cut. I'm certainly not saying hefty wager on the Bills, but I certainly think with James Cook, they can eat a lot more clock this time, and when they get the lead, they won't leave as much time for Mahomes.
Okay, good point.
That's where I'm leaning anyway, Dan. Dan, we've got to the hour. Thank you very, very much for joining me this Halloween.
No problem at all.
Back to your treats.
Yes, whatever's left of them.
I am absolutely goosed. A full catalogue of activities in Derry today, and then a very stop and go quick as you can run around Ballyheron for the trick or treating. So
this is a few more houses this year.
I'll tell you something. The place is illuminated by streetlights this year.
Very good, very good.
Brilliant. Dan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been cathartic.
It's been a pleasure.
I've needed it. I've had this pent up frustration for weeks and weeks now. The struggle is real to get the original occupier of the position to my left always on, but you know, life is always full of bumps and they come thick and fast. And as a Liverpool fan recently, boy, we know all about it. Happy Halloween. Enjoy what's left of it. And it'll be Christmas before you know it.